Now, before we start the Dharma talk, just to give you a bit of a Buddhist tradition. Sometimes over here, of course, if you're not in the Buddhist countries, you don't see the Buddhist tradition is being exercised. And sometimes while we are here, it becomes diluted. And you are not even know. You don't even aware of it. Firstly, when you pay respect, you cannot do it cross-legged. You cannot do cross-legged and then you just like that. Cannot. When you want to pay respect, you have to do it properly. That's called a 5-point prostration. Yeah. There's a 5-point prostration. Yeah. And you pay respect properly. Yeah. If you cannot have like kneeling position, then you can put one is like cross-legged and the other is like on the behind. Yeah. Some people cannot kneel in that sense. So you have a hard time for them to kneel. Unless you have a bodily condition, you cannot do all those things, then it's allowable not to do that. That's one thing. Also, during the Dhamma talk, you cannot hold your leg like that. And during a Dhamma talk, and then you hold it like that. At one time in Europe now, again they are totally they even lie down like that in front of me and for the Dhamma talk. They think that this is like a show for them. And then that is not allowable. Yeah. And also the few things. Yeah. When the Dhamma talk is given, also, the listener, whether you are more senior than the person who is giving the talk, or junior, where whoever is giving the Dhamma talk, then everybody should sit lower than the person who is giving the talk. There are two. Unless you are not fit, unless you are sick, there's also one thing. Okay? Wearing a cap, that too. Now, again here, over here it's cold, then it's allowable. Because it's really in a way that you cannot withstand it. Yeah? But let's say in overseas that you come to Malaysia, it's warm. You're not going to wear that, do you? That also is in the Vinaya that whoever is giving a Dhamma talk, whoever is wearing a cap and is not in a sense of ill, then we should not give the Dhamma talk. Yeah. There's all these small little nuance inside there. Yeah. But over here, of course, it's different. It's cold. Even sometimes I feel my head cold. Sometimes I wear a cap too, if it's really that cold. So it's okay. It's considered ill in that sense, because you cannot take this one. But when it comes to monks, then even another protocol is there. Yeah. So unless we hold back, we hold on to our tradition. The tradition is not just meditation. Meditation is something that we are lacking. Then we develop those areas. But the external factors, how our body gestures, how we present ourselves, then it shows the mark of respect in the traditional manner. So it's okay. So as I said, if you want to wear the cap here, it's cold. It's perfectly allowable. not a problem. Yeah? All right, let us get back to the meditation. Yeah. Okay, now 2 days ago I talked about the pain. We talked about one area which is important is how we misconstrue the pain or have a wrong perception about the pain. And when we have the wrong perception, wrong ways of doing things, therefore, when we note the pain, we note them wrongly. We note them inappropriately. That when we do that, a lot of times behind it is our dislike, slight aversion, or even craving, desire behind those things. And then it comes in different ways. For example, you try to note them and to make it go away. You're not trying to see them as they are, but you want to make it go away. Yeah. Or, for example, you try to look at it far, far away. You do not want to scrutinize it or investigate it or thoroughly pay attention to the nature of the pain. Also, sometimes other yogis may be just trying to move the leg a little bit just to ease off the pain. So many areas that this how yogis tend to do these things, do this way again and again, every retreat, every time they sit down. So that's why when it comes to pain, they do not have the confidence, and always they will try to avoid the pain. So if you have this habit, that is not very good, because in Vipassana, we have to see them as they really are. So when you put this thing behind, I also mentioned a few more other things, like what else did I mention? Or that pain, not all the time there must be a core. Sometimes the pain is spread out. Sometimes the pain may go this way, that way. Does not mean that there's always a core. So some yogis thought that the pain, there must be a core, and they just note on they try to look for the core, whether it's there or not. That a yogi should not do that. What is not there, don't go and look for it. Some yogis just tolerate the pain without watching the pain. Just stay there, grit the teeth, and try to sit until the hour is up. I mean, it's good, you can sit for 1 hour, but the noting mind, it's not there. The observation of the pain is not there. You are just sitting there, waiting for the time, although you can finish that hour without moving, let's say, but it's still not good. It's good, but not enough for Vipassana. So, when it comes to the pain, we pay attention to how the pain, see its characteristic. For example, although there falls under unpleasant feelings, but if you meditate, there are so many different types of unpleasant feelings. There are pulling pain, there are hot pain, there are burning pain, there are sawing pain, there are itchy pain. So many types of pain is there. So if you can, you label them. See them as they are, label them. Pulling, numbing. So this is one area that. The second part of the pain is that you have to see them how they change. Sometimes it get more, sometimes it get less. Sometimes it move from one place to another place. So you're running here and there. Sometimes it subside, it come back again. There are so many ways how the pain will present to you. But I didn't mention something. I mean, there are still different areas of the pain that I've not talked about it yet. Because as you advance, some yogis think that as I advance, most probably no more pain already. You think you're advanced in the meditation, you go deeper in the meditation, oh, my pain is in the past already. Now it's all enjoy. There's no such thing. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. That is the nature of the body and mind. That's the nature. As long you have this body, there will always be physical pain. You cannot run away from it. No matter how advanced you go into it, there's still all different types of dukkha. Even the Buddha also experienced dukkha, but he does not have the aversion. He does not have the craving. He still have dukkha. He's an arahant. And all arahants also feel dukkha. For us too. So dukkha, we cannot run away. But don't think that dukkha is just this pain, that pain. Dukkha is much more bigger area. Your pain is just this area. There's 2/3 more you haven't seen now. Which comes without all this pain. But it's really difficult to bear. It's not this buttock pain, numb pain, and all that thing. This is one area of the pain, but there are other areas of dukkha. As you advance, the deeper aspect of dukkha, the actual aspect of dukkha will start to become clearer to you. So don't think that, oh, I got such a suffering life. Oh, I got so many suffering here, pain, there, pain, here, ache, there, ache. Now I got this disease, that disease. I know all the dukkha. The dukkha will laugh at you. Not yet. If you don't go into vipassana deep enough, you don't see the other types of dukkha. Perhaps one of these days we'll talk about it. But tonight we're going to talk about another topic. Now, tonight I would like to talk another topic, which is also another big problem for many yogis, and that is your thinking mind. When they say use the word thinking mind, everything. It also falls under like imagination. It falls under like your planning in the future. It also falls under like your memory of the past or something even in the present, and you're thinking about it. All right? We're going to cover this area, and we're going to look into it deeper. In order to turn the thinking mind into a meditation object. To turn the thinking mind into a meditation object. And with using that thinking mind to derive mindfulness from it. Isn't it good? Might as well do something about it, you got so much of it after all. But we cannot do this in the beginning of a retreat. And that is not good. It's only after some days that you make the effort to bring up that mindfulness, that clarity of the mind. And this time we'll slowly tackle all these type of thoughts that's coming into the practice. Whether it is in the sitting, walking, or daily activities. After all these thoughts are there. Now you may hear the 5 hindrances, right? The 5 hindrances here, We start off with what is the number one? Yes, you tell me. What is the first hindrance? Huh? Hindrance. What is the first hindrance? Sensual desire. What is the number two? Aversion or ill will. Okay. What is number three? Sloth and torpor. Yes. What is number four? Restlessness and regret or worry. Huh? Number five, doubt, skeptical doubt. This, how many days you are here? You are here 5 days, 6 days. You think you have all the mentioned just now? You don't have. If you don't have, very good. All the sensual desire, the aversion, the drowsiness, the sleepiness, the restless mind, the worry, the regret, and the skeptical doubt, all already there. But whether you can able to recognize them or not, that is another thing. But we cannot discuss everything. I mean, if you want to discuss everything, this retreat is going to get longer. Yeah, it's going to get much more longer. Yeah. So tonight, let us look into the restlessness, the fourth one. Now here, when the Buddha used the word restlessness and worry, uddacha and kukucha, the Pali word for uddacha means like you are hovering on above or shaking on above. You cannot land. Yeah. Just like when you are a lot of thinking, that your mind is just a lot, so much there. You try to go back to your rising and falling, cannot. You try to go back to your in-breath, out-breath, cannot. Because the mind is keep on a lot of noise inside there, a lot of thinking inside there, a lot of planning inside there. So it gives you the description of shaking or hovering on above. So it's kind of good imaginative or a figurative way of looking at it. Now, this restlessness, sometimes I just like to use overthinking, because sometimes yogis have a different idea of what restlessness is. Anyway, this restlessness, just to put it into a simple language, a simple way of communicating, that restlessness is the thinking that you have, a lot of thinking or imagination or planning, memories, that it cannot stop. All right? It just go on and 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 on. And it cannot stop. You sit down, you try to pay attention to them. Wow. You try to control it, it just cannot. It just go on and on and on and on and on and on. That falls under restlessness. Do you have it? Yes. That's good. At least you know you have it. No, but it's hard to control. It's very hard to control. Now, there's another type of thought that you have also. Is whenever it comes up, you're aware of it, it disappears. Right? That does not fall under restless mind. Because that one, you pay attention to it, very quickly it sort of subside and you've already gone back to your rising falling. Or sometimes you notice your object, but it's like in the background, it's there a little bit. It does not disturb the noting, but it comes up, it kind of go away. That one is not restlessness also. No, it's not rest until it comes up prominently and erect havoc into your paying attention. And when you're in your noting, that when you know it, even you know it, it cannot stop. It just carry on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So we call that restlessness. Okay? Yeah. But of course, in the text, they give so many different description, and you can use the word wandering thoughts. You can use the word unsettled mind. There are so many different ways. Also, different teachers, they introduce this topic. But these are common problems that yogis go through. Very common problem. And it can be overcome. Perhaps may not be 100%, but what is important is that, again, we get the technique right. We get the technique right, just like how we deal with the unpleasant feelings of the body that day when we talk about it. So, let's look into it. Yeah? Now, why do you have so much restlessness? Yes, the nature of our mind, which is true. But the thing is that, you see, the restlessness, a lot of this overthinking is also depending on your condition, how you brought up, what is your job, what type of character you have, and you have more of that. You see, all the 5 hindrances, not everybody has. All of us have it. All of us have it. Some people have more of some of it. Have less of this and more of some of that. But we have everything. But teaching in US, this is the common one. The overthinking. Why? Because all of you are so much into thinking. Your work is to think. Everything is analyzing. Everything from young until right now, everything you have to analyze, to think, you have to comment and everything. And therefore, when it comes to your meditation, the habit does not stop. And when every time we meditate, these problems arises. So much. Even in Europe, when I was there teaching also, same problem. But in other places, thinking may not be that much problem. Sloth and torpor is the bigger culprit. So you got to know your audience and you got to know their culture. Yeah. So different places have different way of how the state of mind is like. All right. So restlessness is very much part of us. The overthinking, the overplanning, over scrutinizing is part of us. Yeah. Now, in the worldly sense, it can be good for you because that is your livelihood. People pay you for you to think. If you don't think, you're not going to be employed. Right? So they pay you for this labor, your intellectual labor. They pay you for all these things. So we exercise it again and again. But when it comes into meditation, that becomes a problem. Even sometimes, I also notice that even after they retire, but the habit has been built up for like 30 years, 40 years. And then they thought that, okay, let's retire and let's go meditate. Then the whole thoughts and thinking and planning still there. Not easy for us to settle it down, unless there are ways for us to do it. So, Now, this restlessness, this thinking, in the beginning of a retreat, and also if hopefully you can remember in the next retreat that you're going to go, first few days when the mindfulness is not going up yet, don't deal with the thinking too much. That means, you see, in the beginning of the retreat, as I said, that if you do left step, right step, or lifting, pushing, dropping, then when the thoughts come in, you're aware of it, ignore it. After that, you put it away, back again to your steps. Back again to your steps. That's the instruction for that time. But as you build up on your mindfulness after some number of days, then it's going to be slightly different. It may not be all the time, but sometime I want you to also take up the thoughts and use it as a meditation object. Use it as a meditation object. Now, in order for us to aware of the thoughts, of course, one of the most important part is the mindfulness. Without the mindfulness, without a strong mindfulness, you cannot take up this type of thoughts, because the thoughts, the planning, the thinking, or your imagination, or even your commentary inside there, you are judging, you're analyzing, and all the words are coming out now while you're doing something. It may not be pictures, inside the mind. It may not be planning. It may not be anything. It's just words after words, sentence after sentences, one sentence after another sentence after another, words, and so many words inside there. That also, as I said, falls under the restlessness. Now, when you want to deal with this, we must need the first thing, mindfulness first. But of course, if you have strong mindfulness, then you don't have all this problem. But the problem is that our mindfulness is not continuous. It's not continuous. Therefore, when it's not continuous, the thoughts comes in. The thought comes in. So here, when the thoughts come in, now, let's say you somewhere in the middle there, you catch hold of the thoughts and you're aware that you're thinking right now. Although you're aware of it, it still does not subside. It's not all the time you're aware, then it subsides. This once in a while, perhaps. But there are times that you're aware of the thoughts that's going through, that it still not subside. Then this time it becomes a prominent object. Okay? It becomes a prominent object because it's right in front of you right now. So because it's become a prominent object, you have to let go of other objects, and therefore you have to pay attention to it. So the first thing that you must have is to have mindfulness that able to recognize it. And recognizing this also takes training. You have to do it again and again until your mind is more used to it, more habitual on recognizing it. In the beginning, sometimes you may fail. You note it, and then it will drag you inside further, and the story continues. The story continues. So at least there must be a mindfulness there. Some degree of mindfulness. So this is the first one. There must be some mindfulness to able to recognize it. Although it's weak mindfulness right now, it's still a weak mindfulness, but there are moments that the mindfulness comes in, you're aware of it, you can catch hold of it. That means at least you already caught it at this time. It hasn't subsided. Now, when you catch hold of it, so the first thing you take mindfulness. The second thing is that you have to recognize it correctly. Yeah, you recognize it correctly. In the sense that when you recognize it correctly, that means this time, the first to able to recognize it correctly is to put a label there. You put a label there. So you put a label there that is thinking, 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 or planning, 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 or what else? Memories, 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 or even the Mahasi Sayadaw says, if you let's say that you imagine that you are running inside there, then running, running, running. If you are jogging inside there, jogging, jogging. They put the label sometimes according to what you notice in the image of the thought, inside the thoughts. Yeah? It's still okay. It's still okay. It's not too bad. At least you recognize it. So, but sometimes thoughts just don't come as just thoughts. It can come in with other emotional state. The thoughts come in, a sadness come together with it, right? Or sometimes the thoughts come in, anger comes together, aversion comes together. If it so happens you remember somebody that you don't like, then and at the same time the mind is going into a lot of frenzied thoughts. You want to get even, you want to plan this, you want to plan that, everything, and the whole story goes. But it comes with that aversion. Now sometimes the restlessness too, when it comes in as something very pleasant. Maybe you meditate until 7 p.m. and then you get hungry. Then the food come out. Then you look at it, so happy. Then the craving comes up. The desire comes out. But the thought is processing it. It gets more and more and more. At the same time, the mind desires it, wants it. So perhaps the sensual desire comes up. Or sometimes the doubt may comes up together with the restless mind. So you meditate, then after you start thinking about yourself. Can I last until 2 weeks? And then you start thinking, can I last or not? Oh no, I feel like 1 week I'm going to puncture. The air is I'm going to go flat right now. Then you think negative things about yourself, and then after you think about whether this meditation, is it correct or not? Is it suitable for me or not? All kinds of thoughts about yourself, and you are doubting about yourself. Skeptical doubt. And this thing, sometimes it does not stop. It just go on and on and on and on. At times you may lose confidence about the practice. So these hindrances, we need to stem them. We need to cut them off in a certain manner, in the right manner. You do it in the wrong manner, it will boomerang back and hit you even harder. Yeah? So you have to learn to overcome them also in a proper manner. But the way of vipassana is always starts with mindfulness. Okay? Now, so you're able to recognize, you have some mindfulness that you're able to recognize them. The next thing is that is also equally important. The acceptance of them. Yeah. The acceptance of those restless in the mind. This acceptance also is actually another facet of mindfulness. It's another aspect of mindfulness. That the mind can able to accept them as they are. That is to say, there will be all kinds of horrible and terrible thoughts may come up in your mind, in your heart. And also there may be a lot of wonderful thoughts also may come up every now and then. Yeah? Now if you do a lot of unwholesome action, unwholesome speech in your past. Then when you meditate, then this type of thoughts will kind of like a lot. You do a lot. And then when you look back, oh, then you regret. I should have not done this and not done that because of my ignorance. After you feel sad, you want to cry and so on. Yeah. And all kinds of emotions will start coming in. So, and as I said, there's a lot of planning and great ideas and wonderful ideas that you never thought of it outside there. And you find that your ideas are so powerful, so refined, so wow. How could I not think of all these things when out there? So simple. Only meditation, all these things come up. So therefore, when it happens in this way, when it happens, you already fall into their story. You're already being sucked into it. You're already being sucked into it, and the story will start continue. All the imagination will start going on. Now, acceptance here, what it means that when any form of thoughts arises, your attention is just there with it. No matter how difficult or how wonderful the thoughts are. And secondly, is that you must not push the thoughts out. Neither you welcome the thoughts. Because the way of mindfulness is that to able to accept and to see them as they are. Because these thoughts can be terrible. Let's say things that have done something that, you have the skeleton in your closets, and then it pops up. You have all the bad deeds and whatever wrong thing or shameful things that you have done. Then this type of thoughts arises. Now you are face to face with it. First of all, if your mindfulness is not strong, the tears will come out, the anger will come out, you just cannot take it. The whole doubt will come up. All the skeptical doubt comes up because the mind cannot able to accept those things. So in doing this way, you need a lot of stability of the mind, at least some stability of emotion in order for us to notice this thing. If your heart is so easy to snap, easy to flutter, just a little bit of seeing your mother face, your tears all come out. Like rain. Or see something, then the whole body excited and so on. So the stability of the mind is not that strong. So acceptance is very important. A lot of us cannot accept our thoughts. It's not easy at all. It's really not easy. So as I said, I remind you again, don't go into the story. The reason is that you see your mother, let's say, or you see the situation, is that here you already identify that this is I, you, my mother, my situation, my problem, my. All is hidden beneath it. That's why it's so difficult. So it's not easy to undo this thing because we are so used to it. So whenever these thoughts arises, whenever these words arises, you must learn to step back, as if you're stepping back and just see the thoughts as just thoughts. all the word sentences that give meaning to you, all those things also are just thoughts. But it's not easy, as I said. You want to identify with them, you want to find meaning inside there, that means you're already inside the story. You're already inside the story. So, acceptance here is that we are not pushing it away, neither we welcome it. It arises because it got its condition is already there and it's become prominent. So when it's become prominent, don't go inside there, you just stay outside and note them. You label them as thinking, or planning, or memories, or happy, sad. These are reality, these are objects, it is a mental object that you can feel. Directly you can feel it. But the story inside there, all the words, all your mother's face, or all the situation, all are concept. So that within the mind, concept and reality, it's a very fine line. And most of the time, it's just overlapping on each other. And here, in the Vipassana, we have a very sharp knife and just have to cut it through in order for us to see them. And this is where the training comes in. And you train again and again. So when the thoughts come in, first of all, you learn to accept them. Don't push them aside. Don't want them. Don't push them away, or don't wish for them to stay or go away. Every pleasant object, every pleasant thoughts or unpleasant thoughts, the mind as if like you pull out and being aware of it. Can do that. You have to try if you want to learn how to pay attention to the thoughts. Because you haven't go into Vipassana yet right now. This is just mindfulness only. This is just mindfulness. A lot of times when you come into different types of mindfulness therapy. If they do the mindfulness therapy correctly, they will come until here. Acceptance part of all the things that you have done in the past. And again here, when the acceptance, you accept it, mindfulness arises, then perhaps you are healed from the anxiety or whatever that the mental health issue that a person may have going through. Perhaps very helpful. But that is where everything stops. Vipassana takes one step further. Vipassana takes one step further in the sense that the fourth step is to scrutinize the object. The scrutiny of how the thoughts, then it is important. Not the content of the thought but the consciousness that producing the thoughts. The mind that producing those thoughts. You see, how does all your images come up? How are all these images and all these thoughts comes up? It comes up because the mind or the consciousness is processing it. That process is happen in the present moment. The content being produced, it goes into the past, it goes into the future, it goes into all kinds of concepts. So again here, the differentiation between the mind itself and the concept. So far, can you follow? Already, a lot of you already the face is all, what? I know it's not an easy topic, I couldn't introduce this topic right at the beginning. It wouldn't be good. It would be, actually this topic would be better for the next week, or even you have a longer period of retreat, then this one will be a little bit further, then it'll be helpful, Yeah. But nevertheless, at least try and see. So, scrutinizing the object is this. Scrutinizing it, one thing, and to see the true nature of this restless mind is one thing. Secondly, also, we need to subside that restless mind because it's still a hindrance. It's still a hindrance. It is not that something that you want it to stay all the time, because it stays all the time, then how are you going to progress? The 5 hindrances, which include all the thoughts, these are the objects that you need to subside them. Not your pain. Pain is not a hindrance. Your anger or your aversion is the hindrance. The anger or or your aversion or the desire, those are the hindrance. It's not the pain. So we note them. We note the thoughts, and also by noting the thoughts, mindfulness gets stronger, mindfulness gets clearer, then the hindrance will start to subside, because wholesome mind and unwholesome mind cannot come together at the same time. Technically, but people will debate with me, but doesn't matter. How could you note the restless mind and you say that you can note is wholesome? Restlessness is unwholesome. You are still not. But the mind is not that slow, but the mind is very fast. So much more faster than what we think. Now, we need to subside them, and yet we still need to see them as they are. That is where mindfulness comes in. You can also aware of them, but you don't have to use the way of vipassana to subside them. Also possible. Just to subside them, but not seeing their true nature. So there are different ways how we subside the hindrances, because finally all these hindrances has to be subsided. You cannot let it be there and then you cannot meditate. So one way or another you have to subside them. But the way to subside them is always come with mindfulness, whichever way, that later part that you are going to do. Okay? Alright. The way of vipassana. The way of vipassana, there are several different ways how we can subside the thoughts, and yet at the same time we can aware of it. Now the obvious one is to directly face to face with the thoughts, with the planning, with the memories. So directly face to face with it. So this time, when you note the thoughts, when you note the thoughts, because this time the thought is going one after another, one thought after one thought after one thought after one thought, one after story after story after story after story after story. So you are somewhat outside from all this thinking that is going on. So you're observing what is going on. Good. Now, next thing what you do is labeling. Alright? Label it. Label it as restless, 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 or thinking. But the way you label them, also in a way it will help you to calm it down. So this time when you label them, you label them in a slower manner. You understand? Restless, restless, restless. Although inside there, it's like all this, but restless, restless, restless. Yeah. Now, here again, when the restless mind, the mind is not peaceful. The mind is unsettled. The way how you label it, then it arouses the calm type of mindfulness. A calm type of mindfulness in order to overcome a restlessness, because the mind is unsettled. So you label it slower, restless, 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 and yet at the same time you're aware of what is going on. Okay? So this is one thing. The next thing is the observation of the thoughts. Again here I said not the content of the thought, but the process, that what is going on. The process here is like, for example, you notice the thoughts, then it disappears, then another one. Then it disappears, then another one. Then it stays for a while, then it disappears, then another one. Sometimes you drop inside, yes, but you pull out again. Then you notice it again, it drop, it drop, it drop. Yeah? Can you try? Tomorrow, I'm sure you have it tomorrow. I mean, don't anticipate. It will come to you. Yeah? But as long as you can able to catch hold of it, go face to face with it, see whether you can able to notice the thoughts one after another. Yeah? Let it pass, let it pass. As I said, don't go inside, don't identify whoever or whatever your thoughts are. Just let it pass, let it pass, let it pass, let it pass, let it pass. It pass, it come, it pass, it come. So in this way, when you pay attention to it, you are, in a way, you are seeing it as they are, you are accepting it, you are not pushing it away. And because the mindfulness comes in, sometimes you begin to see the thoughts getting less, 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 less. Then everything fades off. Once it fades off, being aware, you know that it fades off, then you know that the thoughts are not there, back again to the rising and falling, sitting, touching. Yeah, that means, other words, there's a continuity. Let's say before that, you are noticing your in-breath, out-breath are rising, falling. Then the thoughts arises. The thought arises that this time, because you have the way, then you pay attention to it. You see it, you see them, then you note them, then the thought fade away, fade away, fade away, and you continue back to your rising and falling. Isn't it continuity of mindfulness? Yeah. Then you see them as they are. But the process here is not easy. This part, this area is not easy. So again, it's a skill. It's a skill that you have to exercise them in order to see them as it is. So within an hour, you may have already have pain. You already have rising, falling. You already have thoughts. You have this thing and all that thing. I know it sounds daunting. It sounds difficult. But the more that you do it, it becomes so flexible. Yeah, it's just like the Kung Fu master. And then whichever the villain comes, they know what stance to hold and how to fight with them. This is my nature. In young, I see so much Kung Fu movie. Yeah. So something like that. You know how to watch them, and there's a slightly different skill with it. So you pay attention to it. You pay attention to them, one after another, no matter how the thoughts are. Yes. And you label it, yes. You label it too. Yeah. As I said earlier on, you label them softer. You label them softer. You watch what is going on. Then hopefully it will subside. Hopefully. Because your thoughts can be very strong. They can be very strong and very persistent. So it's again here, don't give up. It sounds difficult, but don't give up. Pay attention to them. Softly pay attention to them. Softly but alertly pay attention to the nature of the thoughts. Yeah? Let it pass. Let us see them one after another, one after another. Then when you see them one after another, as they change, sometimes the thoughts can get like the image become bigger. Sometimes it gets smaller. Sometimes it change faster. Sometimes it change slower. Like a movie, it change slower. Sometimes more action inside there. So you see the different character and different subtle nuance of that thoughts without going into the story. And that is how we pay attention to the thoughts directly. Okay? That is one way. That's another way. Yeah. Also the way of vipassana. Yeah. Another way of vipassana also, this one is a bit more, this one your mind has to be a bit more flexible and adaptable. Because this involves different components of the body or mind. Now let's say you sit down there and then the thoughts are a lot. The thoughts are a lot. Now you notice the thinking or planning, but you know that the thoughts that arises comes from your hearing, let's say. You hear something, and then you hear certain sound, the thoughts arises. It starts to plan. It starts to think, who is it? What are they doing? Then you realize, oh, I'm supposed to be noting them. Then you're not thinking, but the sound is still there. So you're aware of the sound. Hearing, thinking, hearing, thinking. Then the thinking comes, aversion, because you don't like the person, you see. Aversion, thinking, hearing. You see what I mean right now? Because the thinking is not all the time coming, you sit down and it's come up from the heart all the time. Sometimes it comes from the external factors, and the external factors affecting the senses. When they're affecting the senses, it goes into thoughts, like what we do every day in life. Yeah? So here again, we learn to, again, step out. Whatever the hearing that you are noticing, again here, we don't interpret the hearing. We just note only as sound, or hearing. Then it goes into thoughts, thinking, or memories. Then it goes into liking, wanting, or aversion. This one is you need to be a bit more flexible. So what happened right now is that if you're aware of those things and you can step out a little bit, then you can notice hearing, the thinking process producing anger or producing liking. And you can notice the process keep on going in this way. That is also perfectly alright to note the thinking as in that way. Because right now the thinking is the subject. You see condition that is affecting the thinking, and you see the resultant that produced by the thinking. Okay? And all of them can clump together. They may all come together. So if you're noticing that way too, it's also right. It's also vipassana. And you can see that sometimes the sound disappear, thoughts also disappear, anger also disappear. Yeah? And when you see in this way, you see with there's a non-I that is involved into it. It's just conditioned, one after another. One thing condition the other thing. That's how you see conditional reality. That all you read all about conditions and all the patthana and this and that. Now in vipassana, you actually could see them. You see, there's a slightly different way of noticing. A slightly different way. The first way is that you only notice the thoughts that arises. You don't worry about all the external things that is coming with it. It's just not thinking, or happy, that whatever is going on inside there. Whereas the second method is that you notice the condition that is affecting the restlessness, and also perhaps if the restlessness give rise to more thoughts or more emotional state like aversion or whatever that is going on with the thoughts. Yeah. You see the difference with these two. Yeah? This is how the difference between Chittanupassana and Dhammanupassana. How you pay attention to Chittanupassana and Dhammanupassana. In both, in the four foundation of mindfulness, we have this Kayanupassana, we have Vedananupassana, we have Chittanupassana and Dhammanupassana. In the Chittanupassana, or you use the word contemplation also, is not very good, because the word Chitta is mind. We translate as mind. But the word Anupassana means repeated observation. The word Passana means observe. Anu means repeated. That's what you are doing. Repeated observation on an object, on the body, on the feelings, on the mind, on the Dhamma objects. Now, here, the first way when I said that you pay attention to the thoughts directly, see them as they are, see how they change and so on, without looking at all other conditions, whatever that is affecting it. That theoretically, at least you know, you are noting in the way of Chittanupassana. You are seeing things as they are in that way. But if you are some yogis, they are perhaps because of their brought up or the way that how the mind works, they see things in conditional manner. They see this thing arises, it affects the thoughts goes into restlessness, then sometimes the restlessness gives rise to something. So in this way, you notice as Dhammanupassana. Because Dhammanupassana is seeing into its conditionality. Okay? This is a brief understanding about Chittanupassana and Dhammanupassana. So it's different ways of doing the noting. It's a valid thing. Okay? So, this is not the end of the talk. Tomorrow we are going to continue more, because there are ways also which is not, you don't use vipassana, because we still need to subside it. So if we are in a vipassana, we might as well use the way of vipassana and try to note them and to subside them. But sometimes this way does not work all the time. It does not work all the time. So at least we must have some other ways that is up in our sleeves. And when we need it, we can pull it out. There's some other ways. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue on that. All right? So we stop here for tonight. Okay?